Hey, welcome back to the Morning Brew. I'm looking forward to this segment today. We're going to introduce you to two people very involved in a documentary called Mbete, The Road to Kisesini. And I want you to meet Ann Bromberg, who is the filmmaker, native New Mexican.
Hello.
Ann, good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And Dr. Rifka Stern, who's the medical director of Healing the Children Southwest. And we'll talk about your role in this, Dr.
Great.
Stern, in just a moment. Thought we'd give everybody a little sample of the film with the trailer. So let's roll that and then we'll talk about it. So, the filmmaker is here, Ann Bromberg, who made this documentary. And Dr. Stern, your role in this was what?
My role in this is that I've actually been to the village a couple of times. I got involved because of knowing Dr. Angelo Tometi, who is really the one who started the whole project. The women in the village made baskets in order to have a health clinic in their village. They made baskets for 10 years. And Dr. Tometi, who had helped start Peacecraft, which was a local store that had indigenous, crafts from around the world.
Yeah.
It recently closed. He heard about them and went to the village and was so inspired by the community effort that they had worked, this whole community, to have a health clinic in their village. There's no running water, there's no electricity. They had the building about halfway finished from the proceeds of making baskets. So he helped raise the rest of the money to finish the clinic, and then we've had an ongoing collaboration with the village. So the Kenyan government Ministry of Health runs it. They have nurses who are there and some staff, but we created a nonprofit called Global Health Partnerships. And that nonprofit has helped to support the clinic. We've helped hire a lab tech. When we go, we've taken solar panels, given them computers, give extra medicine. And then he has also worked, taken students from UNM, medical students, to do a research project.
Very interesting.
That's great. Tell us about the film, Ann.
The film, well, I was, how it started was I know Rifka and her husband David, and they are constantly fundraising for this particular clinic. And so I wanted to do something for them, and it started off very small, like I wanted to help them with their website or something.
Yeah.
And then they sat down one afternoon and told me this story about Mbete. And I was so inspired also that I just said, oh, I have to go and I have to get this story of this woman and who she is, and I really wanted to get to know her. So through Indiegogo and gathering up lots and lots of people who really believed in this story as well, I was able to go with Dr. Tometi and Rifka's husband, David, for about 3.5 weeks or 4 weeks I was there, and started to interview Mbete and the staff, and got to know some of the people in the village or around the village, around the clinic. And it was just probably the most life-changing experience I've ever had. A lot of people say, oh, well, you must have had a crew and you had this. I said, nope, it was it was just me. It was just
Not the typical Hollywood production crew.
No, not at all. But it was great to just be with myself and the cameras because it really helped to connect more intimately with the people of Kisesini. You know, some of them have never seen a camera before, and so this was a really big deal to them to have somebody there with this camera and a microphone sticking out of it and talking to them and so on. So it was a very big thing for them. I hope we can show it to them, or some way have them look at it.
I would imagine that you hear all about this place and these people, and when you get there, you have a certain frame set of expectations. What surprised you the most when you got there?
Was the first night that I got there. The first night that I was there, we had traveled for about 30 hours, and David, Dr. Brody, and Dr. Tometi were getting ready. They were very accustomed to driving into the clinic and the land, and setting up their tents and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I have all this gear, and where am I going to put it? And so I set up my gear, and I made sure to have all my cameras ready for anything. And so about 3 o'clock the next morning, somebody knocks on my tent and says, hey, there's a woman going into labor. Would you like to film? And I said, oh yeah. So I get up, and the clinic was just about, I would say, no more than maybe 15 feet, 20 feet from where the camp was, where we were camping. And so I'm running with my cameras, and all of a sudden this woman goes into hard labor. And the cameras are rolling, I'm rolling, and all of a sudden she's grabbing me. And so she grabs me, and she starts pulling me down as the baby's coming out. And so I'm filming it, and I thought, as a female, I need to put the camera down. And help her. As a filmmaker, there's that thing where you should keep going, and I thought, no, I'm going to put the camera down. And so I thought the camera was off, but the camera was actually rolling sound. So the beginning of the film is really all about that first part when I arrived, and how the birth is on sound, on audio, and not visual. So it gives it even a more, I think, more intense feeling of wanting my audience to be there with me and experiencing this. And she had a beautiful baby. She had this beautiful baby, which was my first birth. And it was very exciting. She had a baby that was about 10 pounds.
Wow.
And one of the greatest things was to show that the clinic is really successful now, and that she had a healthy baby in a facility that could take care of her and the baby at the same time. And the staff was just incredible. They're Africans who've been trained in Africa, and very caring, probably one of the most beautiful group of people, health workers I've ever been around. And it just was truly life-changing to film all of this and interview. So,
briefly, Dr. Stern, how many people roughly does that clinic serve in that area?
The catchment area is large. It's about 30,000 people. People walk 2 or 3 hours to get to the clinic.
Wow.
So, it's a very rural, undeveloped areas, and so almost nobody has vehicles.
Cars or
nobody has cars. One of the parts of the project that Dr. Tometi did is, after we finished the clinic, is we trained community health workers in all the surrounding villages to people to help monitor in that clinic, in those areas, mostly to identify children who were at risk. And they've created other projects now where they have outreach to, if there's been a baby that's born, still most of them are born at home. We're trying to get them to come to the clinic, but it's a little daunting to walk in labor. But even after they're born, wherever they're born, they go home, they have a community health worker who goes out and visits them on day 1, day 3, and day 7, because that's a risky time. We're screening for malnutrition. And so we have just a lot of ongoing projects.
That's great. Can you tell us about, there's a fundraiser and there's a screening of the film coming up? Tell us about that.
I'm looking at so there's a great fundraiser coming, and this was the purpose of really doing this film. Hence, the film has now traveled to film festivals and has been specially selected for lots of film festivals, and it keeps going. So we want to show it here for one more time to raise money for the clinic. And it'll be Saturday, November 1st at 7 o'clock. There will be also music from a marimba band from Dr. Stern and her group. And it's going to be a great, great evening. And I hope people come out. I know there's lots of activities going on Saturday night, but this is a really worthwhile place to stop by and check out the film and donate some money to the clinic. 100% of the proceeds also go to the clinic.
Well, it'll go right. It's a dual fundraiser actually for the Global Health Partnerships and Tariro, which is an organization that sends girls to school in Zimbabwe.
That's great.
Talented people in New Mexico. That's what this show is about. And Ann Bromberg, filmmaker, and Dr. Rifka Stern, medical director. The movie Mabeti, The Road to Kisesini. Saturday night, big premiere. All right, we're out. We'll be back with another guest in just a moment.